So it's 2016, you're Kazumasa Habu and you've got people talking about Digimon again. Cyber Sleuth has received critical acclaim and is a big hit amongst the fandom. Next Order was... well, not as popular, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So naturally the next logical move would be to ride that high and focus on what's working. Let's make another story game. Bigger, better, more ambitious, more expensive on newer hardware. But soon you realize this project is going to take a lot longer than you thought. 9 years in fact. That's way too long. We need a way to tide people over in the meantime. A separate team is working on Digimon Survive, but that's going to be for a completely different audience, and that's had its own slew of issues and delays. So what's the solution? Asset flip. Okay, I'm being somewhat facetious, but that's a half truth. Habu figured that there were still some stories to tell within the Cyber Sleuth universe. Hence the title being Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory. Not so much a sequel, but more of a side story that takes place alongside the main narrative, at the exact same time. And since most of the assets were there and already made, it would save them on time and costs, as Hacker's Memory only came out 2 years after Cyber Sleuth. And even I can look at Cyber Sleuth's story and see that there was a lot you could expand upon. While the main characters from that game were busy saving the world, what was going on the ground while Digimon was storming Tokyo? We don't get much about the history of Jude or what it was that they encountered out under Zero that caused them to disband, and the world of Hackers did feel kind of small given that the only active groups we really see are Zaxxon and the Demons, which they themselves were just an offspring of a disgruntled Zaxxon member. Surely there are more hacker groups outside of the Rebels roaming around. There's a lot of different elements to explore here. I know there's a subset of people who despise the idea of prequels or revisiting a story that we're already familiar with. I was certainly apprehensive at first, but from the jump, Hacker's Memory lets you know what it's all about. These are not the main characters. They won't be participating in the main story because this is their story. Hacker's Memory shrinks its scale to focus on a more personal journey about the complexities of taking responsibility and ownership over your own mistakes and failures, and how not doing so can cause a strain on your interpersonal relationships if you aren't honest with yourself or each other. Cyber Sleuth has its rich character arcs, but Hacker's Memory feels a lot more intimate due to the stakes being a lot more personal for our new crop of characters, to the point that I was honestly welling up a bit as the credits rolled. Hacker's Memory also re-explores themes brought up in the previous game, such as identity, but explores them from new angles, utilizing more sci-fi elements beyond just being in the digital age. This is tying back to what I said in my first video about Digimon Game's ambitious approach to storytelling, because this video is a continuation, so go and watch the first one. But yeah, this game could have just been foamed in, but it gives us a lot more and feels right. It slots right into Cyber Sleuth and even fills in some gaps, as we get more connective narrative tissue, and some of the side characters like Date, Faye, Matayoshi get more screen presence. It's the other half to Cyber Sleuth's story, along with expanding the Digimon roster a little and some new gameplay additions. It's no wonder that the complete edition is bundled the way that it is. That's also how I'll be experiencing this game once again. So let's make some magic. I'm Bijika, and today, Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory.
あら、また会ったわね。もう一度ここに来たということは、また初めから閲覧したい物語があるということね。いいえ、答えなくていいわ。すべてわかっているもの。これもきっと必要なこと。それじゃあ選択してちょうだい。今度はどちらの運命をたぐるのかしら。
Mirai recognizes that we're back and allows us to carry our data over, which in this case just means your medal collection and the Digipedia, which works for me. It means I get to experiment with new Digimon that I never got around to digivolving in the previous game. This opening monologue about memories hits differently once you've beaten the game and you realize what character is saying this. Nevertheless, we start the game similarly to the previous one, by entering a chat room, but this one's more elaborate to access since we actually need to hack into it. Our very secure private room belonging to Huddy, handyman for hire, and our client today is Zaxxon, the core hacker group from the previous game. I'll be dropping small reminders when recurring characters and concepts come up because it was almost a 3-hour long video. I'm not going to expect you to remember everything. We're the new guy, so this job is our test to see if we have what it takes to earn our permanent spot. I've never failed a probation in my life and I'm not about to start now.
この世の中にはヒーローが活躍する物語があふれている。彼らは様々な事件に遭遇し、強大な敵に立ち向かっていく。仲間たちと力を合わせ、世界を危機から救い出す。だけど、その物語には脇役が存在する。あるいは登場すらしない人々も。僕はある年齢を過ぎた頃から自分がヒーローではないことに気がつき始めた。この世界にとって僕は脇役に過ぎず物語に登場することもない。でもいつかはヒーローになれる。その時を夢見ている。これはそんな僕の物語。
As I stated earlier, this game's very quick to set its tone. It leans into the fact that, yeah, in Cyber Sleuth you were saving the world. Here, you're not going to be doing that. Not to mention the production values have gotten a significant upgrade. Not only are there more cutscenes, but the visual quality of them is much better too. Clearly the budget that they saved on reusing the same assets went somewhere. Even minor side quests have cutscenes now as opposed to where they were just sparingly used in the previous game. And this intro segment brings in a change of style. It oozes slick espionage and finesse. We aren't detectives out in the open solving mysteries. Here we operate in the shadows, get our hands a little dirty, and really sink our teeth into the hacker underworld as we enter a new zone for this game, Under Kowloon. If Kowloon is where your garden variety hackers hang out, you know, the type of people that use hacking to win online fighting games and shit, Under Kowloon is more like the dark web or the black market. The 3 silhouettes that you see on screen are going to be our lead characters. The in-game reasoning for them not being visible is just communications error, but it's just the game maintaining its noir tone that I just described. Even though you can't see them, their personalities and group dynamic is very quickly established, but we'll touch more on that when we get our proper introductions. For now what matters is that Yuji Shiga is our target. He's made a large sum of money from raiding and selling other people's accounts, so Zaxxon wants us to deal with him. Chitose has a really cool line here where he says Yugo gets to expel people from paradise. As remember that this cyberspace is Eden, so we're steering into that motif. It's up to me to gather some intel on our target to determine his whereabouts. We're equipped with a piece of malware that allows us to hack into other people's digivices to access their information. So yeah, we're straight up doing illegal shit in this game and I'm here for it. Bringing us to our chapter title. Yet another side chapter 1, Back Alley Hackers. Just in case it wasn't apparent enough that you're not the main character. Nah, I do like this, don't mind me, I'm silly. Visually, Under Kowloon isn't so different from Kowloon but manages to be distinct enough with a darker shade of blue and high rises, giving a feeling of really being in the back alleys and slinking around like rats, hidden away from prying eyes. Even speaking to this one girl from the hacker group Rabbit Circle will have her offering us to join them until she notices we're with Huddy and avoids eye contact, so our reputation precedes us, if the fact that we've got Zaxxon as our client wasn't enough to make that apparent. We install some malware onto this one suspicious looking hacker that gives us a lead to Shiga's location. We report this to the others and Ryuji tells us to wait where we are as he'll come with us to back us up, as we then get a comedic scene with his sister.
お兄ちゃんがいるからって油断しちゃダメだよ。別に心配してるわけじゃないけど、気を抜かないこと。あと あと私がこういうこと言ったってなんか
お嬢、俺たちまだ通信切ってないけど。わざわざ言うなバカ。
いるの分かってたもん。
珍しいな、お嬢のこんなドジ。お前がチームに来たら面白くなりそうだ。期待してるぜ、未来の新人くん。そこで待ってろ。
Well, I don't know about you, but it seems like an appropriate time for a flashback while we wait for Ryuji. The reason our protagonist is actually here is because his account has been stolen, possibly by Shiga. It was our friend Yu that set us up with a temporary account, but temp accounts lead to ostracization as people assume you're a hacker, as they're the only ones that use temp accounts since they never want to be traced. Right as we're stumped as to what we can do, we're contacted by this mysterious figure calling himself K, a self-proclaimed guardian of Eden who tells us the one responsible for hacking our account was a man named Shiga, and we should try looking for him at the black market. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but if my account got hacked and then a stranger immediately hit me up like, golly gee whirlikers, it's a real shame that your account got hacked. Here, come to this shady location and we'll resolve it. I'm just saying. Yu wants to come with us since he fears for our safety, but we go alone in order to not rope him into our mess. At the black market, we find that Digimon are the merchandise. Oh, my babies! They look so terrified in their cages. Okay, no, I'm role-playing. I don't know what Digimon are yet. They're just programs. They're not real. Oh, Tentamon! The merchant sells us some scrap Digimon. I take Godsumon because I don't think I ever used him in Cyber Sleuth. We feel bad for the remaining ones, but it then turns out that in order to use Digimon in the first place, you need to have a digicapture program, which is a hacking tool. Since we don't have one, he deduces that we aren't actually a hacker and attacks us for wasting his time. Thankfully, we're saved by Ryuji. He gives us the digicapture program, telling us that we can either fight or run. The Digimon we choose stands to our defense before we can even make a decision, with even Ryuji commenting on the fact that it's rare for a Digimon to take to someone without using Digimon capture. But anyway, now it's an even fight. After stomping the merchant, his colleague recognizes Ryuji and apologizes for their behavior, with us taking our leave. Back at Kowloon, Ryuji lectures us about the dangers of walking around with a sense of self-righteous justice. The status quo is just what it is, and the best way to get by in the underworld is to just remain neutral. This will be a recurring motif, not so much throughout the main story but more with how we handle various cases, alongside Ryuji's character arc. While the previous game's characters, mainly the protagonist, Nokia, Kyoko, and I guess Suedo in a more twisted sense, what's going to determine how the characters behave in this story is how their personal desires and emotions clash with their sense of responsibility. We opt to set Godsumon free, but he decides to stay with us. After telling Ryuji our story, it turns out that he was also looking for Shiga, saying that Shiga is too big of a fish for us to deal with, and that we should leave it to him, but we refuse to walk away, and all this is enough for Ryuji to take a liking to us, inviting us into Huddy, as he's the leader, which brings us to the present day. If there's one thing you'll hear me bitch about time and time again, and I'll never stop until JRPG stop doing this, normally I hate the use of montage right at the start of a game, starting in medias res and then immediately flashing back. I've already bought the game, you have my money, just do this shit in order. I said usually. In this game I actually kind of like it and think it works. I already gushed over the intro calling it stylish and noir and adjective, so tonally I understand why it was done this way because you wouldn't be able to pull this off otherwise if we started as the protagonist bumbling around the black market. I more take issue with it when you're just making me play through a segment for the sake of showing me the gameplay at its peak or story intrigue. To me it just feels insecure. Anyway, I'm done spurging. Ryuji meets up with us in present day as we head to Shiga's location. Interesting substitute for cyberspace segments. We spot Agumon and Gabumon being chased by Shiga. Why are you two always being terrorized? Was this really your life before Nokia found you? My god. After confronting him, he says that he didn't raid our account. Ryuji even checks his database to be sure and confirms that he isn't lying. Before we're able to follow through with the request, he's attacked by an eater. I mean, I don't know what this is. I'm roleplaying. It's my first time seeing it. It's what's an ER? I don't know. Ryuji doesn't know what it is either, and so we run away. Once we reach a safe spot, Ryuji says that from here on out, it'll only get tougher. But we're officially in Huddy now, and we get to see what a successful logout actually looks like. He tells us to wait in his sister's room while he goes to get Chitose for a debrief. The previous game gave me Akiba Strip energy, and this one definitely takes it up a notch. She does have a point though, we did just barge in here without knocking, but this is Erika, and here's Chitose. The four of us make up Huddy, and like I said before, the characters and their roles are very quick and easy to understand. Ryuji's the stoic and reliable leader, Chitose is the laid-back mood maker, and Erika's tsundere shut-in. The way our protagonist slots into this group actually does add something to this family dynamic. A standard caper or escapade will usually involve the protagonist and Chitose goofing off or getting sidetracked in their own world by some arbitrary insignificant element like women or gaming, which pisses off Erika, but with how easily flustered and embarrassed she gets, she often unintentionally contributes to the silliness, which is where Ryuji steps in to keep everyone in line. This core group exists as a bona fide unit where if you removed any of them, it would lose something. I did like the core cast of Cyber Sleuth, but in terms of their relationships to one another, it was very Nokia-centric, with Yuko and Arata not really having much to do with one another, despite the fact that their stories do parallel one another. It was just something I found quite strange. Here the characters as well as their individual arcs are written in tandem with each other, they're all pieces of a collective whole. There's no traces left of Shiga's account, and Chitose gives us the rundown as to how things work at Huddy. We take on numerous jobs, but Zaxxon is the biggest client. He also says that we're hackers for justice, which at first may come across as contradictory considering what Ryuji said earlier, but later on you'll realize that it's because they both have their own ideas. Ryuji's sense of justice is actually something that he struggles with, tying back into what I said about responsibility and emotion. But also when he said that, he didn't intend on inviting us to Huddy at that point, it was just advice he was offering to a random passerby he thought he'd never see again. If there's one thing these Cyber Sleuth games have proven to be good at, it's weaving in these plot threads earlier in more subtle ways than you might think, even with that opening monologue about memories. Anywho, this internet cafe is Huddy's business and hideout. This is where we access the Huddy website and accept requests. Yeah, since we aren't a cyber entity in this game, there's no Blues Cluesing your way into Eden. Here we sit at the computer and log in the old-fashioned way. It's funny when I think about it now, but we never actually saw the process of regular people logging into Eden. I don't count Yuko and her specialized evil device of evil. Here everything is much more grounded and less spectacular. Yet another side chapter 2, Handyman of Huddy. Our first quest is from Chitose, who wants us to buy some spare parts from various locations. It's just to familiarize ourselves with the environment. Ikebukuro will serve as our hub and is a completely new area for the game. The only new area I believe, as every other location from Cyber Sleuth makes a return. Which I'm fine with, since the point is that we're re-exploring with a new set of eyes, and Ikebukuro is nice enough and visually distinct with its own little nooks and crannies like the aquarium. I do admittedly prefer Nakano, as it had the perfect balance between lively and cozy, and I felt like it had more personality, which feels so odd if you look at it from a meta standpoint. Susuhito Yasuda was in charge of character designs, and he also worked on Durara, which is set in Ikebukuro, and so it just set off these weird expectations in my head. I mean, it's not like he wrote Durara, so I just played myself, I guess. Anyway, speaking of Nakano, we head over there for the junk shop and an Easter egg. The stories of both games will occasionally intersect, but you'll never actually come face to face with the old protagonist. In fact, you'll only ever catch a glimpse of them one other time, and other than that, it will just be a matter of the Cyber Sleuth cast referencing them every so often, which is a tasteful way to handle it, I think. Though I do wish that maybe in some sort of post-credit scene they could have done a Yakuza 0 and just have the two walk up to each other in the street and just give each other the manly nod of respect. Speaking of Manly, Yu calls saying that he wants to meet up. Naturally, he's irritated that we never got back to him after going to the black market without him, and now we've returned to him as a full-fledged hacker. He's very opposed to trusting Huddy, but he's just a worried friend. Well, that's only a half-truth, but we'll get there. He's not happy about being left behind, so the next time Kay contacts us, he wants in. And with that, we part ways. Welcome to the Kremi Detective Agency. We've met before, apparently. Just before she met her current assistant, we helped her out with something. And it was our help that gave her the idea to hire an assistant in the first place. She then rambles on about what would happen if we'd found the other protagonist in his digitized states before she did. Yup, still Kyoko. Aside from this, we'll only be interacting with Kyoko one at a time, and it won't even be in her human form. And again, I find that tasteful. At first I was worried that she'd be heavily involved in the plot since she was used in some of the promotional material, but thankfully not. As much as I love her, but like, imagine the retcon that whenever we'd leave the detective agency as the Cyber Sleuth is when this guy would then just waltz in as like her secret second assistant. I don't think my heart could take it. Chitose messages us wondering where we are, even making a joke about installing malware on our device to track us. We head back to Ikebukuro and... oh, it's the Occult Club. We see them just as often in this game as we do in the last. I don't know if these guys were fan favorites or whatever, but their wackiness has definitely been cracked up a few notches to the point that I just don't find them as charming in this game. Kind of insufferable actually. And I'm going to touch more on that in the next chapter. For now, let's just get on with this one since I feel like I'm stalling. We return to Huddy to find Detective Matayoshi. We really are just speedrunning through these cameos, aren't we? I'm down for more Matayoshi though. He's here to see Ryuji, but he and Chitose are still busy reporting to Zaxxon, so he just says to tell them that he passed by and to say hi to little Erika. Chitose gives us a call telling us that he has malware set up around Eden for the sake of collecting info and to keep an eye on things. He needs Erika to go around to perform maintenance on them and we're to serve as her bodyguard. We're meant to meet her at the entrance to Eden, but she isn't here. This is where we're reintroduced to the keywords mechanic from Cyber Sleuth. I didn't think much of these the first time around as I found them to be very asinine since nothing interesting is actually done with them. It's just speak to everybody until you get the answer you need. Well, in this case, it's kind of funny because it's introduced and used in this one segment where we need to find Erika, but then it's never used again. Ever. It's just scrapped. There'll still be segments where we need to ask around for information, but they'll just have these exclamation marks above their heads and that's that. No gathering keywords. Which works for me. It could be argued that instead of getting rid of it altogether, they could have expanded on it and made it a little more intricate, like Persona 4's approach to gathering intel on the next victim, but we're not detectives or sleuths in this, so the game does away with the whole angle. Though it does make me question why it's here this one time, but it's probably just to ease you into this new perspective before subtly disappearing. We go to a variety of locations only to realize that Erika had been following us this whole time. She was just too awkward to say anything. The malware are small modified Digimon scattered around Eden. Erika finds it weird relying on Digimon when we don't even know who made these programs in the first place. She prefers old school hacking. The fact that she doesn't use Digimon is why we're here as her bodyguard. Over at the Eden community area, the Digimon malware spotted something undetectable, so let's ask around. All the rumors point towards a beautiful fortune teller and her hidden room. Erika is able to softly pinpoint a subtle shift over in Kowloon. Once there, we chase a white cat, which vanishes into thin air. But Erika is just about able to momentarily hack her way through as we slip inside through the very brief window of opportunity. Mirai is very impressed as actually making your way inside her room is a 0.1% probability, saying that this must be an offshoot of the other one's destiny. She's very tongue-in-cheek as she explains what this room is, breaking the fourth wall and winking at the player the entire time. She also says that we should tell Erika to give up on trying to hack into this place as Mirai is only entertaining us on a whim, as she and almost everyone we meet in the game will tell us how normal, regular and average we are, but she'll allow us access to this room regardless. Back outside, Erika deduces that Mirai keeps moving the room around, hence it can't be traced. On our way out of Kowloon, we stumble onto the best character and absolute MVP of the whole damn game. Wormmon is being bullied by a larger Digimon. I decide to rescue it with Erika being intrigued by the concept of two programs fighting each other. Once rescued, Wormmon is afraid of us at first until Erika heals its wounds, explaining that it's from the digital world, lost in this one. Erika is skeptical about another world existing, and is about to leave it be, but Wormmon is just too damn cute for Erika to resist and agrees to look after it. She also apologizes to us about the way she acted before when we entered her room, which... Not gonna lie, I'm actually on your side about that. You had every right to attack me since I barged in without knocking, but sure, do your tsundere thing. In the meantime, we shift over to Ryuji and Chitose reporting to Faye about Shiga and his demise. Faye says that it doesn't really matter since Shiga and the other account raiders are just being used by someone else, so the problem won't stop if they continually chasing Small Fry, they need to target the one in charge. This is when Arata stumbles into the conversation with Faye being all like, well, if it isn't the former leader of Judes. Ryuji immediately gets hostile, clearly holding a grudge as Faye takes this as her cue to leave and let the former Jude member squabble. So yeah, this is where we find out that Ryuji and Chitose used to be in Jude, second and third in command, and hold it against Arata for splitting the group up. Arata questions the status quo of things, saying that hackers had more freedom back in the day. Now the two of them have fallen to reporting to and taking orders from Zaxxon, though Ryuji says that Arata has no right to comment since he's the one that ran away. Arata takes that blow to the gut and goes along his merry way. Chitose calms him down, saying to never act that way in front of his sister or the newbie. Ending the chapter there. Mwah! Delicious. This is exactly what I wanted. Flesh out those gaps left behind from the previous game. This is where the intrigue is, not just with our new characters but Arata too. He had a clear enough throughline in Cyber Sleuth, but he also spent a lot of time doing his own thing off screen. There's still a lot you can explore with him, even if we already know what the end result's gonna be. I'm very much it's all about the journey kind of guy. Attack on Titan, you're pushing it. You really push it. But yeah, this chapter was feeling a little obnoxious as we spent most of it speedrunning through cameos, but this conversation right here is more than enough to earn my investment. Yet another side chapter 3, Demon Slaying, Zaxxon's Request. A running gag will be how patrons of the internet cafe will gossip about strange rumours surrounding Erika's room, like how anybody that dares to enter it is met with misfortune, and how shrieks begging for help can be heard from within. We take a peek inside to find her dissecting, analyzing Wormmon.
解析って言って人聞きが悪い。別にどこもバラバラにしてないですよ。あんた
When we mention the rumours surrounding her room, she says that all she did was mess with their account data a little after they tried to enter. Leaving the two to their devices, we get a call from Kay. He says that we shouldn't trust Huddy too much. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. They say that our next target is Toru Kayaba. Okay, let's check the quest board. Mirai's hacker quests are back. Nope. Actually, they aren't too bad this time and are a lot easier to access. No tedious grinding. I still didn't finish all of them though. We receive a quest from a Digimon wholesaler that wants us to track down an Airdramon that escaped its cage. We're conflicted, but we still accept the case. I get why we accept cases like this. We as the player have got the knowledge that Digimon are more than just programs, but from the point of view of all the characters, that isn't the case. So it isn't seen as cruel or evil from where they stand. We managed to find the Airdramon who doesn't want to go back to being cramped in that stuffy cage, but we convince it that a hacker will buy him eventually, so he won't be cooped up in that cage forever. We also convinced the wholesaler to buy a bigger cage, and that's the quest done. I feel so dirty. But yeah, that's how some of these quests go. Us just playing the neutral party and getting paid. I say some of these quests. Okay, let's talk for a bit. This quest sets a bit of a strange tone. You see that dirty feeling I just described? This game tries to come across as if that's gonna be a consistent thing, and that's how most of these quests are gonna go. Even adding to that, when you finish this quest, it gives you access to the digital market where you're able to just buy Digimon instead of farming them in the field. However, I find that just isn't the case with the majority of these quests. I mean, they are there, just in very small doses, with the majority of the quests in this game being what I refer to as gag missions, where some of the cases were just a fun, wacky series of vignettes with no combat going on. Like the characters sampling different fast food places with Yuko geeking in the background, or some of the occult club quests. And these were fine, it gave Cyber Sleuth a fun sense of personality while mixing it in with the paranormal Digimon antics. Hacker's Memory feels like it took those, ran with it, and jacked up the wacko-meter to a stupid number. It feeds back into what I was saying before about the occult club feeling overly cartoonish compared to how they behaved before. They're like parodies of themselves, and that goes with a large majority of these quests. Granted, there are sprinkles of gold dust here, but they're very few and far between. It feels like the writing team blew a lot of their creative load in Cyber Sleuth and are now struggling to come up with new and interesting side stories for this game, so don't be surprised if I bring them up a lot less than I did before. There are some little bits that work for me, like how on the Huddy webpage people will leave comments under requests since they're on public display, and there's also a running gag that has the clients comment on the fact that our protagonist looks as though they have a hard time with women. There's also a new mechanic where you can take various side characters on quests with you, and you get these little conversational prompts where you can learn more about them, like how Date used to be in a biker gang until Matayoshi convinced her to become a cop. There's also the digital market like I mentioned before where you can buy Digimon instead of farming them. And the game does something cool where there's a side quest down the line where a conflict takes place involving the ethics of selling Digimon, and depending on your approach, you could shut down the digital market and completely lose this feature. I did, since I barely used it to be honest. Anywho. We spent some downtime with Erika as she talks about Matayoshi and how he helped out Ryuji and Chisose in the past, and the origins of the Huddy emblem. It's the Chinese symbol for butterfly, as she then explains the butterfly dream. Though in this instance we add a modern twist to it as it's in relation to the virtual world and real life, and I think it's a beautiful metaphor for what we're going to experience throughout the game. Ryuji and Chitose enter saying that Zaxxon has given them their next target, a name which should sound familiar, Mephisto, the insane account raiding mastermind from Cyber Sleuth. The hacker groups Black Silver and Akano Stripes apparently have ties to Mephisto, so we'll look into them with Ryuji. Though they ultimately go nowhere, but we find out that another hacker group named Steam Dealers has been on the rise lately as they have a new bank. We corner them and they do have a funny gimmick where they mimic Darth Vader's breathing style. I do want to re-emphasize that we've interacted with 3 different hacker groups in this small section alone. This game will introduce multiple hacker groups. They aren't necessarily going to be vital to the story or anything, it's just making the world feel more alive, which I always love, because in Cyber Sleuth it really did feel like Zaxxon was the only group around. And to add to this, we've got the inclusion of domination battles, 3-on-3 fights where the focus is on occupying territory, alongside emblem battles with other hacker groups. We managed to corner them and Chitose lays out some threats. And they give up Mephisto's location. Though once they've spilled the beans, Chisose goes off with them to broker some information since yesterday's foe can become tomorrow's client. It's all just business and it's good to keep doors open. We track down Mephisto and he behaves very differently than before. He's very calm and composed until we defeat him. He then tosses the accounts and runs off frantically. We chase him down only to find the Cyber Sleuth dealing with him. We hear that he sold accounts to a major company, the most important guy being Toru Kayaba. So let's infiltrate their server. We've disabled security so Chitose can extract the accounts, though this is when Kayaba shows up. He doesn't have our account as he only raids corporate accounts, though there's a hotshot account raider. Hotshot? What, are we in the 90s? What, are the account raiders Otto and Raimundo? Yeah, there's a hotshot account raider named Akira Hosaka, but that's our mission for Zaxxon done. Back in the real world, Ryuji asks why we thought Kayaba would have our account, though before we can answer we see Yu getting robbed. We intervene as they recognize our emblem and run, though Yu feels some type of way about us stepping in. It hurts his pride and makes him feel useless, and he runs off. When alone, he chastises his behavior, but then the mysterious voice tells him not to worry. We're then treated to a dubious cutscene. Ryuji meets with Kishibe to give her the mass sum of account data we just collected. She asks him for another favor, though when he hesitates, she mentions that the kids' test results aren't looking so good. Oh, okay, so we're back to this again. Yuko wasn't the only one she was blackmailing. What is it with you and taking advantage of 6 siblings, you fucking harlot? Meanwhile, Erika brokers a deal with us. She'll look into Akira Hosaka if we help her look into irregular digital waves in Shinjuku. I know where this is going. Playing this game is like guess the timeline, but that's the chapter done. As I said before, I like that the hacker scene feels more active and alive as the various hacker groups we're introduced to have a degree of personality. Chapter 4, Net Dancing Cowboy. Erika's bothered by the hustle and bustle as she doesn't get out much and she doesn't even go to school. Yu arrives to apologize about his behavior from before, though when he inquires as to who Erika is, she responds accordingly, taking his leave. We arrive in Shinjuku and she seems visually tired, though it's here that we spot Suedo behaving suspiciously. Erika wants to know what he's doing, so forces us to start a conversation with him. The two immediately become best friends as they discuss research and the like as the digital shift occurs, and this is the most lively I've seen her, even saying that, oh, this will be fun. Suda explains that in here everything can be hacked since data becomes matter with this fascinating Erika. Listening to her speak and how easily she's able to process a lot of this, Soido seems to piece together who exactly she is, but as he's about to ask, we're attacked by an eater. We do 0 damage to it and then it runs away. It just leaves. To my understanding, this is before Soido learns to control them since he's still doing research, so I don't know. It's the only time where I'm like, this could have been rewritten, like have us run away from it. Like I don't get why it would just leave, since the whole point is that they just devour data, but whatever. Anyway, running away is what Soido does when Matayoshi arrives. Erika has a nosebleed and passes out. At the hospital, Matayoshi gives us the siblings' backstory. Erika had a car crash as a child which killed her parents, and she's developed a sickness in her brain ever since. No hospital knows how to cure it, with Central Hospital being the only facility that can provide treatment. But that's all he knows. Or at the very least, all he's willing to say as Ryuji arrives. With that heavy bit of information, we get some comic relief as we bond with Yuko by the vending machine as she can't decide what to eat. We recommend red hot bean soup because, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a slut for spicy food, and she loves us forever. Back at Huddy, it turns out that Erika will have to stay at the hospital for a while. This is why Erika doesn't go out much. When we tried to ask Big Bro why he never mentioned anything to us, he snapped saying that it wouldn't have made a difference. Though Chihose tells us not to worry, also mentioning that Matayoshi used to help them out during their Jude days, but that's a story for another time. I'm not sure how to put it, but I do like how rich the relationships and histories between a lot of the characters we've met so far feels. And it's only drip fed through the guise of, now's not the time or place, or it's not really my business to tell. People aren't just unsolicitedly expositing to us. Kei contacts us, but before he drops in for the next target, we demand to meet with him in person, which he seemingly agreed to, but it's just a trap. He says it was just to test our wit in case we planned on ambushing him.
I don't want nobody setting up on me while I'm setting up on them.
He leaves us a demon mask and says to meet at the demon's den, because if there was a character that I was just gleaming to see again, it was Jimmy-ken. So here we're seeing the official forming of the demons as Jimmy-ken issues orders to everyone to spread the word, and he gives me the task of spying on Zaxxon. Okay, so just to make sure everybody's up to speed, our account was stolen, which led to us being contacted by Kei, which led to us joining Huddy, which led to us being in league with Zaxxon, which led us back to Kei, which led us to spying on the demons, which has now led us to spying on Zaxxon. Even the protagonist realizes how much of a clusterfuck this has become, so he just says fuck it, I need to be honest with somebody. So he just goes back to Huddy and spills everything. And as the reliable big brothers that they are, they're more just annoyed at us for putting ourselves in danger on our own. Chihose says that he'll look into Kei, while Ryuji and I will speak to Yugo and Faye about Jimmy-ken and the demons, though they're not currently at the Zaxxon forum but somewhere on Kowloon. This dude is still struggling to get a girlfriend. He even acknowledges that someone just came along giving him advice, but it wasn't enough. He's 30 and still single, and is that how I look to people? I bump into Arata, who identifies us as the new hacker that joined Ryuji, and okay, quick aside, because it's something I only just noticed now as I was putting the footage together. I had no recollection as to when we split up from Ryuji, so when I went back to check, look at this. He's with us at the Zaxxon forum. I open the menu to check something, and then when I close it, he's just gone, and we're just alone as we go to Kowloon, and then Arata shows up. It's like, what, you couldn't wait for me to finish sorting my items out, so you just went on ahead? Why are you so impatient? It just made me laugh is all. Anyway, Arata seems to repeat Erika's sentiment about not liking the fact that hackers rely too much on Digimon and not their own skill set. It's sad to see that this is what Huddy has become, and there'll never be another hacker team like Jude's, omitting the fact that he was the leader, hiding his identity altogether. Saying that the old leader was a little reckless, Ryuji was deputy, Chihose was third. He only tells us all this because he wants to know what Huddy are up to now, but the conversation is interrupted by an eater. We confront it, though Arata lets his guard down only to be saved by Ryuji. More eaters appear, but then in comes Yugo and Faye. Faye gives Arata's name away, blowing his cover. I love this moment because it ties back into Arata's character. He was trying his damn hardest to be cool and mysterious when we were alone with him, but the moment people who actually know him show up, his emotions were on full display, as he and Yugo debate over Yugo's dictator-like way of doing things, as hackers are meant to be free. And I love but hate this interaction. I love it because we never got to see Arata and Yugo interact much in the first game, and here you can see the friction between the two, almost like a law versus chaos type of alignment, as the two always clash. And I hate it for that same reason, because it harkens back to what I complained about in the first game about Yuko and Arata never directly interacting with each other, considering how much they mirrored each other, and seeing how much I loved this interaction just makes me harp even more on the amount of missed potential there was when it comes to these two. But that's just more of a hindsight thing given the timeline. The writers are clearly addressing that here by drawing more of a spotlight on these two, so it does work. It's just me not being able to shake that feeling is all. Anyway, Arata looks to Ryuji to back up his talking points, but Ryuji tells him to piss off, which he does. After Ryuji explains Jimiken's intentions to betray Zaxxon, Yugo wants us to be a double agent. We'll feed false info to Jimiken and report to Zaxxon. Once they leave, Ryuji talks to us about Arata being a hypocrite, and I quote, "Arata ran away from his team. You can't protect anything without strength." Back at HQ, we regroup as Chisose questions Kei's motives for giving us the previous targets when he clearly didn't have our accounts, but everyone decides to call it a day when Ryuji goes to visit his sister at the hospital. He drifts off, but is woken up by a nightmare about what they will encounter at Under Zero. And I was so glad when I saw this because we never did touch on that in the first game, besides when Arata tries to convince everyone to leave Under Zero alone. We never do see what it was that destroyed Jude's morale, but as he wakes up, Erika is discharged. When she comes home, her brain runs at 100 miles per minute trying to piece together everything we've learnt from Suedo about eaters and digital shifts. The protagonist can't focus though because he alongside Wormon is genuinely worried about her, but she gets annoyed by our concerns and kicks us out. Though when we're out of earshot, she laments to herself that she's being stupid and that she should apologize for the trouble she's caused, and decides that maybe she can compromise somewhere, but we won't know how just yet. Ending the chapter. A great one honestly, this is all personal drama that I can get behind, because every character is obviously somewhat conflicted with the decisions that they make, but they have to stand by them regardless, and you can see that everyone, Arata, Erika, Ryuji, Yugo, neither of them are especially happy with how they handle things, but their emotions are still very raw, so they're more reactionary than anything, and the web is only going to get even more complicated. Chapter 5, To the Island of Happiness, Yugo's Request. Erika gave us some papers on digital waves to read so that we have a better understanding of them, but we just end up zoning out as we think back to when we first met Kyoko Karemi and helped her trace digital waves. It's just a funny little segment with Kyoko being Kyoko. Oh, I don't think we ever got messages from Yugo in the first game. Dream In are a group that scam money from people. They host an event in Eden and invite people to take part. Once there, they hypnotize, in quotes, everyone to hand over their financial information. So he wants us to rendezvous with Faye and look into them together. In Kowloon, we find some hackers in a trance as it turns out Faye went after the leader on her own, so we pursue. In the meantime, Yugo is very worried about his subordinates, so orders them to come back. We catch up to find that they put Faye to sleep. Interesting undertones to her muttering. They put us to sleep too as we dream about Erika. With how sweet and endearing she's being, we're very much like, yeah, this isn't my tsundere. And we break out of the hypnosis. So what was supposed to happen is that she would have asked us for our financial information. That's how everyone ends up giving their information. Yugo arrives last minute and snaps Faye out of it. Turns out this is all the result of a Digimon as we participate in a domination fight. It was all Phantom One's idea apparently, so they punish it by freezing it while it's conscious. So it's frozen, conscious, but can't move. That's fucking sadistic, but righteous justice, eh? As Yugo says, I'll punish anyone that tries to corrupt Eden, even if I have to be the villain. Yeah, I wasn't joking with that lore and chaos comparison earlier. If you know how much I love Shin Megami Tensei, then you'll know I love this. There's a cool little quest afterwards which features a competition between two high schools in a coding competition, one being our former high school, Inoden High. So we tried to keep a low profile while letting Chisose do all the talking. There's a funny bit where Ryuji is unimpressed because Erika's skills by this point were so much more impressive, with Chitose reprimanding him saying that that's not exactly a fair comparison. So Chisose, Erika and I go without him. Our role here is to act as bodyguards since the other school may be planning some sort of sabotage. which ends up being true as the other team hired a hacker group to assist, which results in another domination battle. We drive them off, but the competition isn't over yet. The girl who hired us tries to make small talk, but we want to keep her identity a secret since we have such a bad rep right now. It's kind of sad to watch, honestly. The group strike again as they've brought another mercenary, Ryuji. He decided to take the job as a side gig. It's an intense battle that reminds him why he fell in love with tech in the first place. So everyone leaves with the school winning fair and square. It's kinda cute, not gonna lie. Yugo contacts us saying that in regards to Jimiken's betrayal, someone powerful has to be backing him. Kishibe. We need to infiltrate Kameshiro's main server and find proof, stating that Kameshiro's daughter should be willing to cooperate. Yeah, go and speak to myself. I should be willing to help. Ryuji forbids Erika from getting involved in the operation given her recent episode. We then get a funny little segment where Chisose and I figure out how we can get Yuko to assist us. Obviously not knowing that Yuko and Yugo are the same person, so his plan is to seduce her. But obviously, our protagonist has never seduced anyone before, so we need some practice. And we literally get Operation Babe Hunt. Kind of suspicious that Victoria Uchida is here at the same time. Is this meant to be Chika? As in Yamashina's daughter? Holy shit, that's a great way to do a cameo, cause yeah, we literally never see her in this game. Oh, and we also try flirting with Date, and it goes exactly how you'd expect. And here's Yuko. Chitose can't get her attention, but she recognizes me. She says she heard about us from Yugo, so she'll cooperate with us. She gives us her account info so that we can log in as her. Once in Eden, we're greeted by Wormmon, who was sent by Erika. The two are linked, sharing knowledge and memories now, so it knows everything she knows, which is a huge asset in regards to her hacking abilities. So time to head to the center and plant the malware we need to monitor the server. Along the way, Wormmon tells us about Erika's illness. A standard brain has limitations on how many neurons it can fire off. Her brain doesn't have those limitations, so it overheats. To deal with it, she needs to hook up to a machine at the hospital and digitize her memory in order to regulate her brain. We encounter Kishibe, but we manage to shake her off. We get deep enough to install the malware and take our leave. We rejoice as Ryuji says that he knows Erika helped out behind the scenes, but he isn't angry about it. That's just his stubborn sister for you. Also telling us about how Hadi was formed. After Jude disbanded, it was Chisose's idea to form Hadi. He was also the first friend Erika made. He may even be a better big brother than Ryuji is. Here we do get some cool quests that showcase more of the core characters and tie into some of the game's themes. Matayoshi refers the owner of the aquarium to us about fish that go missing at night but then return the following day. It turns out that this woman is building a replica museum in cyberspace, copy and pasting the data since she's unhappy with the fact that the museum is going to be renovated. She even went as far as to set explosive around the museum, but Ryuji rigs the detonator to erase the virtual aquarium instead, quoting that, "Memories aren't about preserving data, it's what you keep inside you." That's kind of weak. It's like saying pictures aren't worth anything, but yeah, I get it. It's meant to tie into Erika and her condition and those complex feels. It's a thing, it's a whole thing. We also get a quest from Yuko to find a book on friendship. It's just a gag quest as she does some funny impressions, as this is also meant to tie into when she brings the Cyber Sleuth to Kameshiro HQ.
おんどりゃてめえが何者かどうかなんて関係ねえ肝心なのはてめえがどうしたいかそれだけやろが
And finally, we get a cute little side story where Erika and I try to get a ticket to the Eden update preview for this little girl that wants to take her brother. But then funny enough, it turns out Ryuji was helping the brother do the exact same thing. We even see a gentle side to Ryuji here, as he's assisting him for next to nothing in terms of payment, just relating to a passionate big brother. Chapter 6, Connected Girl. We do our daily dose of eavesdropping on the demons and head over to Zaxxon. We tag along with Faye to scope under Kowloon as she tells us more about her past and how she met Yugo. Well, I say that, it's more like 2 sentences. She used to be a corporate hacker, she was sent to collect info on Zaxxon, but Yugo showed her something more valuable, a place to belong. You know, as much time as we spend with Faye in this game, I'm kind of disappointed. She falls on the shallower side. There's just nothing much to her besides an undying loyalty to Yugo, which makes her feel more like a plot device at times. When in a group dynamic, she certainly adds something and I do like her for that. And I guess she already kind of had an arc in the first game, but I don't know, they still managed to do things with Arata and Nokia, so I guess given the fact that we've got a new batch of characters to focus on with Huddy, she just falls by the wayside as a side character. We end up taking down a hacker group in a 2v1 domination and part ways as we pick Erika up at the hospital. Though while we're waiting for her, Kay contacts us saying he wants us to witness the birth of a legend, so next time we'll meet in person, and Erika overhears the conversation, saying she'll help us out when the time comes. Okay, so does anybody remember that really fucked up side quest from Cyber Sleuth which involved using AI women to mentally trap men in cyberspace while their bodies got shipped abroad and experimented on? Well, here's another one. A group of high school kids bully another kid into remotely taking their tests for them, so through an implant he remotely hacks their bodies and puppeteers them during the exam, while they all hang out in cyberspace. They continue to bully him until the final day of the exam where he finally snaps. And word to the wise, maybe don't bully someone that has control over your body. He gets them to stab their teacher and then commit mass suicide. It's then revealed to be a simulation. Ryuji got Erika to recreate the boy's murder fantasy in order to teach everyone a lesson. She's only able to do this because her brain is technically a server. Still kind of fucked up. I'm just gonna move on. Chapter 7, Mask Master. Chitose and Ryuji say nothing's really coming through the malware that we planted in Avalon, and to add to that, Zaxxon's about to throw down with the demons anyway and don't want us getting involved. Meanwhile, we've snuck off with Wormon to meet with Kay, but Ryuji finds us and says he's gonna come along, but he'll hang back. He'll be around just as a safety measure in case Kay tries anything funny. So we get to the scene where Nokia and the Cyber Sleuth crash Jimmy Ken's broadcast. We're hidden behind a pillar talking with Kay. He says that Jimmy Ken is just the proxy leader with Kay really being in charge of the demons from the shadows. He waxes on about how Eden was meant to be a temporary escape for people from the real world. But now people spend more time in cyberspace to the point that cyberspace has become the new reality, while people treat the real world like it's the fake one. The lines are becoming blurred, like how in reality, Jimmy Ken is a meek and shy individual, but here he's like a god. So what does that say for me, as someone who's using a borrowed account, avatar, and name? How do I know that I am who I think I am, and that my actions and memories up until this point are even mine in the first place? Oh, you wanna be Metal Gear Solid too? I see you, Digimon, but I do like where we're going with this. Ryuji's heard enough and steps in to lecture Kay because he's pissed claiming that a man that cowers in the shadows isn't fit to be a leader, as Kay then takes his leave. Back at HQ, Erika can tell that we're clearly bothered by everything Kay said to us, so she cheers us up by saying, "You are you. You're here with me in the moment." It's a very touching moment. So Hacker's memory expands on the themes of identity explored in the previous game, but through a different lens. Yes, memories will play a role, given the title, but I think it's more accurate to say that this game operates with the idea that identity can be formed through the moments that we share with each other and the role we play in each other's lives, as this is going to be the emotional core that runs between all of our characters. But just to also touch on some of what Kay was saying, and he says a lot, I do find the adage of online and real life being blurred. Even though cyberspace isn't a thing yet, most of us never unplug. When I was a kid, my mom only let me go on the family PC for an hour and a half every evening, because back then the internet was a place you visited momentarily and then left after a while. Do you guys remember when we used to say BRB or be right back? Now the internet is just this major component of our lives. You can't even do certain things without it. And some people have a whole separate life and identity online. Hardly anyone in my real life even knows I have this YouTube channel. Or some will portray a version of themselves that doesn't even exist. I'm thinking to Ready Player One, where everyone was just living in poverty but still plugging into the Oasis. At least Digimon is still bright and colourful, so it never gets that depressing. We also do some training with Nokia and the Systemon sisters. Funny enough, once you finish their quest, they do just hang around in the Digilab giving you tips like how Kamen ability works. Thank you very much. It would have been cool if other Digimon came to hang out here, but moving on. Chapter 8, Cyber Gloom. After the usual morning antics with Wormon and Erika, we receive our next job from Zaxxon. We need to hack into the cybercrimes department in order to get the intel about the illicit Now Corporation takeover. So by this point in the timeline, it's just after the Cyber Sleuth and Yuko stole that information from the Kamishiro server and gave it to Matayoshi. So if you've played Cyber Sleuth before, you should be raising an eyebrow, because why would Yugo want information that he basically helped steal in the first place? So the plan is to steal Matayoshi's info and use it to access the new location that the files are stored in. Erika is a little apprehensive considering the history that Huddy have with Matayoshi, but Ryuji's very blunt and matter-of-fact about the situation, as this just being something we need to do. I speak to Chisose, who tells us that a hacker was blackmailing him back in the day. Ryuji got involved trying to help, but they ended up getting arrested by Matayoshi. But once he understood their situation, he helped them out of it and the hacker got caught. So Chitose is sure that Ryuji wouldn't do anything to put Matayoshi at risk, but we emphasize that Ryuji is acting somewhat strange, so he then promises to look into it. So he opts not to come along with us, but in order for our plan to work we do need a fourth person, so we bring you along instead. The plan is for me to be disguised as a Digimon that's secretly malware. I need to make physical contact with Matayoshi for a few seconds in order to steal his info. Yu's role is to just play the part of my owner while Ryuji makes small talk with Matayoshi to distract him. Though a wrench is thrown into the plan when Matayoshi uses this as an opportunity to introduce Date to us, saying that the youngins need to look after each other, as he obviously won't be around for so much longer. It's also at this time that they receive a tip on a hacker that they've got an arrest warrant out for, so we decide to go with them. Accidentally leaving Yu behind. He tries to convince himself that they'll come back for him, but that same voice from earlier tells him otherwise. After dealing with the hackers, even though we failed to steal Matayoshi's info, we did succeed in stealing Date's since she held us for so long, and we infiltrate the server with Ryuji. Along the way, we try to address Ryuji's attitude, and we actually have a moment with him.
俺の様子がおかしいか。お前が来てからエリカはよく笑うようになった。お前は人の風下に立つなよ。男ならいつでも大将でいろ。
なんだか違うよ、ユージのことじゃなくて。
But it's interrupted by the security protocol. Once the final hurdle's been dealt with, Ryuji tells us to go back home and he'll just steal the data on his own. Turns out though, what he's actually doing is deleting the classified data as Chisose watches from afar. This operation was most likely all a sham, with Kishibe pulling the strings. Chapter 9, Tumultuous Winter. Ryuji has another nightmare before being greeted by this man in black, as we then see the Kishibe broadcast where she takes over as CEO. So yeah, Ryuji was the one that told her all about the raid and also deleted the evidence. She then tasks him to run interference with Zaxxon's plans to attack Under Zero, and this is when it becomes apparent that she's taking care of Erika's medical expenses. Outside, Chisose confronts Ryuji, even going as far to say it's his own fault for not realizing how much Ryuji's been suffering on his own, and that they should look for other solutions for Erika's treatment together. But as far as Ryuji's concerned, he surrendered himself to this path. He doesn't care about what he has to do or what happens to him, so long as Erika gets her treatments, and he walks away. We then get Yugo's speech, which Chisose and I are present for. Chisose tries to talk Faye out of it as Under Zero is too much to handle, with Faye rebuttaling that Zaxxon is nothing like Jude's. They're the new era of hackers. He leaves her to it, saying he's not getting involved. Faye then turns to me asking if I feel the same way, encouraging me to stand with them. With a lot on our mind, we figure we'll feel a lot better if we speak to Yu. He forgives us for forgetting about him, but then does this shtick of saying that we shouldn't trust Huddy and stop getting involved with them and blah 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 blah. We then get a message from Kei about Akira Hosaka and the location to his server. Yu insists on coming with us, adamant that we don't need Huddy. Sure guy, sure. Whilst we're doing that, Arata comes to speak to Ryuji. Yugo's speech has convinced his friends, alluding to the Cyber Sleuth and Nokia, to join in with the raid on Under Zero, and he pleads with Ryuji to come and help him convince them otherwise, with Ryuji rightfully telling him to piss off. Back at the Hosaka server, we find lots of raided accounts. I like this stage a bit as we actually get some bro moments with Yu, as we reminisce with him and also split up to solve some co-op puzzles, as Yu proves himself to be a decent hacker. When we finally meet with Osaka, he's kind of sick in the head, and it turns out that he sold our account already. Before he's able to tell us where, Yu shows up and accidentally wipes his account before telling us where it went. He claims that he didn't realize and apologizes for getting so carried away. The truth is, his dream is for us to be hacker heroes, to lead other hackers down the righteous path of justice. I feel like I've heard that one or a few times now. But we break his heart by telling him I'm already part of a hacker group, Huddy, leaving him be. That voice then returns again. Meanwhile, Chisose is sat by himself at Galactica Park, grappling with how to confess to us about what Ryuji did, concluding with him getting jumped, ending the chapter. By this point in the story, I was kind of just waiting for the Under Zero raid to happen because we're clearly reaching a boiling point with everything. Chitose is avoiding us, Ryuji's falling further down his path. Yu clearly has some issues, but let's get to it. Chapter 10, Just Below Zero. Wermon suggests that going to Under Zero may be a good way for us to find some leads on who has our account, since all of Zaxxon is going there, but Ryuji flips his shit and tells us not to get involved with Under Zero. Following that, we get a message from Chisose saying he's been kidnapped by hackers and is being held captive at Under Kowloon. Post haste. Why has the music become so ominous? We reach Chisose as the mastermind behind his kidnapping makes their appearance.
これも違うな。あ、そうだ。いっそ高笑いしてみようかな。わあ、だんだん近づいてきたかも。あ、よしよし。これいいね。それじゃ仕切り直しいきまーす。こんなところまでのこのこと一人でやってくるとは。おろだがその度胸と根性は褒めてやろう。なぜならば貴様の仲間を誘拐したのはかの悪名とどろくハッカー誘拐組織ブラックリベリオンズ。そのリーダーたる悪の女王にして美と破壊とあとなんかダークっぽいものから生まれたこの私。ヘルアッキーノ様だからじゃー。
Yeah, it's Nokia. So yeah, it was all just a prank. Chisose was just messing with us in order to lighten the mood. Agumon and Gabumon even recognized us from before. So he just ended up bumping into Nokia while she was recruiting more members for the rebels, and he wound up taking a shining to them as they all helped cheer him up. And he comes clear with us about what's really going on with Ryuji. And his stance right now is thus. There's no way for us to know how many of the jobs we've taken up until this point were really for Zaxxon or for Kamishiro. So for now, he'll be teaming up with the rebels for a while to attack Under Zero, as odds are, Ryuji will most likely be there too on Kamishiro's orders. The best way for him to stop his friend is to literally stop his friend. I head back to confront Ryuji about everything I've just learned, though Ryuji doubles down on his stance. Erika hears everything, leading to a bigger argument, saying if this is what he has to do in order to afford her treatments, then she doesn't want them anymore. Ryuji pushes back, saying that how could she not want to live? The argument causes Erika to faint as we take her to the hospital. He asks us to stay by her side as he'll talk to her when he returns from Under Zero. She wakes up shortly after, begging us to go and stop Ryuji and Chisose from clashing, because Huddy has to survive. For her, because Huddy is her home. And of course, we can't ignore the wishes of our fair maiden, so I infiltrate Under Zero too. Once there, we run into Chisose and Nokia. Chisose is pissed at us at first, but when we tell him we're here on Erika's request because this is what's best for Huddy, he just gets it. And this is followed up by a really great vulnerable moment from Nokia.
私が弱くて口ばっかりなせいでリベリオンズのユーゴやフェイにもバカにされるし、でもそれも当然かなって思ったんだ。だって私まだ何にもしてないんだもん。いろんな人に認めてもらうためにはまず私が 自分の実力を示さないとね。
This is what I'm saying. I love that with all the growth and development these characters got, there's still material to work with. We cut over to Erika, who tells Wormon to dig real deep into Kishibe. Cutting back, we get a domination battle with Zaxxon hackers as we finally get a confrontation with Ryuji. The two best friends go at it as I decide to step back.
戻ってこられねえんじゃねえか。年上のくせに大人げねえとは思わねえのかよ。真田のことは関係ないだろ。言ったはずだ。岸辺と手を切るつもりはないと。アンダーゼロの監視は岸辺からの依頼だ。これにはエリカの命がかかってる。どうあっても俺を止めたいなら力ずくで止めてみろ。
Though Erika chimes in, playing a recording from Kishibe and Suedo that surmises the fact that everyone is playing right into their hands. She got this recording through the malware we implanted on their server earlier. We have to warn everyone up ahead, but we arrive too late. Just around the time that Omnimon fuses and beats Faye, and the armada of eaters arrives, attacking and eating everyone, including... Ryuji! 消えた。千歳が消えた。柔道も仲間もみんな消え、両親も消えた。エリカも消える。みんな消える。消える。消える。 消える。Ryuji gets some dark thoughts. Thankfully we managed to fend off the Ito onslaught, but the air is still heavy with only a few survivors, Arata included. Over at the hospital, Chisose is in a coma with Eden syndrome. Ryuji storms off in anger. Erika had Wormon alter her test results to get her discharged sooner than she should have, as she says that there's no point in her staying there any longer. She has no faith in her therapy lasting much longer since she thinks Kishibe will turn on Ryuji at some point. All she can think of right now is revenge. She wants to take down Kishibe. Kishibe no doubt has a copy of the data that Ryuji deleted in her secret room. At the very least, we can expose the network used to launder the data. The malware we installed prior will open a backdoor to that room. We return to the Kamishiro server one more time, ending the chapter. If only you guys could have seen my face and body language when I was experiencing this for the first time. I was on the edge of my seat, engrossed in this drama, and the major driving force that sold it for me was Nokia, funny enough. They've really added extra dimensions to her actions here by giving her some sense of self-awareness, which also allows us to experience just how she's able to impact people. We got that with the main cast of Cyber Sleuth, but with the Rebels it felt very rushed, as a lot of it was off-screen antics, doubled with a just go with it style of writing. You just buy into it given how slapstick it treats itself. But here it's treated with a lot more gravitas, as it's grounded within the deeper character-driven conflict between Chisose and Ryuji, as it's through her that Chisose actually has an outlet for his frustrations, witnessing firsthand how so many of the rebels became so infatuated with her straightforward nature. Here he is finding out that his best friend is going against his own principles for the sake of his sister, having to now grapple with how he can reach out to his friend, but also not being able to face me or Erika with such a hard conversation. In comes Nokia crashing in like, let's just fuck with the status quo and see what happens. Don't sweat the small stuff. Well, here comes the result of not sweating the small stuff. It's almost like Arata had a point in not coming here. It feels very intentional to me, how Hacker's Memory feels as though it's always showcasing the aftermath of whatever happens after the Cyber Sleuth characters have done their part. Like, we're the ones that either reap the worst of the consequences or have to do cleanup. Hence the tone always feels drier or emptier, and a huge part of that is because, as I've said before, the stakes in Hacker's Memory are nothing but personal, and this is going to be further emphasized in the next chapter when we confront Kishibe. So let's get to it. Chapter 11, Dimensional Collapse. We find the data on Nullcorp in her panty drawer, but she finds us, revealing her true form as Crusadermon. But Erika, the absolute whiz that she is, already alerted Matayoshi in advance and sent the data via Wormmon, causing Crusadermon to flee to the roof of the Metropolitan Office. We confront her there with Matayoshi, where she belittles Erika by revealing that Erika's treatments is an experiment only approved by Kishibe, meaning that without her, Erika has no hope for survival, since her body exists in the real world, but her mind is nothing more than a server. With Erika rightfully slapping her as the two have a fist fight.
又し刑事、止めなくていいんですか？
女の争いに男が口を出すなんざ野暮ってもんだ。
Hey, protagonist Sama is the only one that you're allowed to slap. But this is more about the fact that she doesn't like that Kishibe's been hanging Erika's life over her brother's head. After the two tire out, Kishibe asks Erika where her true self belongs, the real world or the digital. Because when the walls crumble, what will happen to her? Jumping off the edge of the building, while we console Erika as she cries. Believe it or not, we're about to go through something very similar. Kei contacts us to meet at the Demon's Den. He's relaunching the demons as the new demons. That's so weak. But plot twist, Kei reveals himself to be us. So the account that we've been chasing isn't ours, it's his. We're an imposter.
I found you, faker!
So he demands to know who I am. So he's trapping us here until we reveal to him who we really are. Luckily, Wormmon was with us the whole time, so Erika manages to get through, freeing us and showing us her memories with us to reassure that we are who we think we are. At the very least, our memories of Huddy are real. It's likely that Kei was the one that stole our account in the first place and is now trying to get rid of us to take our place. I'm not really gonna comment on this twist because even at the time of playing, I had no opinion. I don't know if I've expressed this before, but I'm just not a reactionary sort of person. I'm hardly one to gasp or form an immediate opinion. If I'm presented with something, I'd rather wait until I have more of the pieces. And this being a plot about identity theft, well yeah, that's how the game started. We had our account stolen, so yeah, obviously there'd be another version of us running around. This isn't me trying to be smarter than the game, in fact, it's a very short-lived plot point. The idea behind it is to revisit this running parallel between the protagonist and Erika. You've probably noticed it by now, but these two are always doubting their place in the real world. Our protagonist living a proxy life that doesn't even belong to him, not even being able to go to school because of it, and Erika, who you could argue exists as a split life form. What would happen to her if the server keeping her brain alive were to shut down? It's what Kishibe was taunting her with earlier. And it's throughout this story that these two are going to have to depend on each other time and time again in some very beautiful scenes, honestly. And so like with this moment with Kei, there are going to be other times when I'm not really going to be vibing with what the story is doing, but I can still appreciate those nonetheless, for these moments between our two heroes. Arata posts on the Huddy message board telling Ryuji to meet him at Shinjuku since he has a job specifically for him. I meet with him instead. He has his doubts at first, but I tell him I'm a full-fledged member of Huddy, so I can handle it. We're taking part in the plan to mass hack the nodes to disrupt the digital shift. He wants us to handle the main power plant. I speak with Erika and she wants to come too, since Soido is there and she wants to ask him about Eden syndrome for Chisose. By force by fire, we'll bring Huddy back. We enter a restricted part that we're not supposed to go to because we're looking for Soido. Arata notices this, but figures that we've got our reasons, so he replaces our login data with his own, knowing that this is gonna land him in big trouble with any officials monitoring the server. Such a bro. Talking to Soido, he gives Erika his thesis on the Ethers to decode. If she succeeds, she can access the Ether network the same way he can. It's still incomplete though, so maybe a younger pair of eyes is what it needs. I don't like where this is going. Though the conversation is interrupted as the digital gate opens, so Soido opens a back door for us to reach the access point. When we question why he would grant us access, he simply says his and Kishibe's goal are different, with his parting words being, "I want to get rid of sadness." I've said it before already, but he was such a cool villain, as this is most likely when he then goes to speak to Arata. So we know what happens at this point. Arata takes too long to close the gate, as most of the Digimon and the Royal Knights get through, so it's a new world order. Chapter 12, Astray. Ryuji is brooding over at Under Zero as the diamond in the center resonates with his thoughts. Back at Huddy, Wormmon no longer just exists in cyberspace and is with us in the real world. And it's so freaking cute, I just want to eat it! We head out to see what's going on. Oh, Erika gave the part-time girl a raise to keep her around. Neat. We head outside to find Kei causing mayhem. Now he has our appearance even in the real world too. Before we get the chance to throw hands with him, Ryuji appears in a somewhat trance yet enraged induced state. Is there a term for that? Tranquil fury. That sounds sexy. We play as Ryuji and batter the shit out of Kei. And then on top of that, Arcadiamon absorbs his Digimon. That's so fucking funny. It's the equivalent of calling in your big brother to beat up your bully and then take his girl. Oh wait, no, I shouldn't be laughing about this. I'm the protagonist of a JRPG. We need to be righteous. No, Ryuji, stop. This isn't the way. He goes on a rant about how he's just so tired. Tired of being Erika's big brother, tired of being a leader, just tired. The only thing on his mind right now is to wipe out the Hackers of Eden to get revenge for Chisose. Wait, what? I get that you aren't thinking straight, but Kamishiro and Kishibe were more... they were more responsible for that. Okay, it took me a while to get Ryuji's mindset at first. After Jude's split, he did develop a very defeatist mentality, just surrendering to higher powers like Kamishiro, always carrying this don't rock the boat or don't impart your own sense of justice attitude, so his anger is directed to Zaxxon, the rebels, and the other hacker groups for antagonizing that higher power. It's your fault for messing with things you have no business messing with. Not to mention, these two are clearly influencing each other, but to what degree? At this point we aren't meant to be sure, but this is where Ryuji is at right now. Instead of pursuing him, we speak to Erika, who plans to confront him when she gets the opportunity to. Chapter 13, Butterfly's Long Afternoon. Arcadiamon evolves, showing that the more Digimon it consumes, the stronger it gets. We try to chase Ryuji down into cyberspace, but he gets away before we can speak to him. Faye arrives saying not to bother getting through to him, just sit tight as she'll contact us soon. In the meantime, let's do some quests. It's funny how Wormmon is so involved with our clients now, very professional I must say. So yeah, we've got plenty of Digimon inclusive quests here, which are leagues more interesting than the quest that came before. There's helping Renamon protect a little girl, which involves this badass cutscene. We get trapped in the hospital looking for the manager, but Sorceamon helps. I remember you from the first game, he was always cool, just working at the hospital helping humans. We even join in with the rebels' efforts to protect Digimon and bring them to Nokia's safe haven. It's during this time we bond with Yasu, who has a crush on Nokia, and we manifest our inner Chisose and get him to man up and confess. Though of course the moment I get that feel good feeling is when Faye contacts to meet up. And we've put a little group together to track down and take care of Ryuji. Faye and Date is the duo I didn't know I needed. I'm loving this team up. Everyone's just so rowdy but in different ways. Faye's mouthy, Date's short-tempered, Erika's socially neurotic, it's just chaos. So the plan is for Faye and Erika to stall him in Eden, while Erika tracks his login data. Once she's secured his location, that's where Date and I will go. When Erika tries to reach out to him, he's not having any of it. So we play as Faye in a boss fight against Ryuji. Erika is able to track down his real world location, but when Date and I arrive, it's just a decoy. Erika and Faye regroup back in Erika's room to discuss the next move, but that's when Ryuji appears. And I legitimately said, oh shit, when he arrived in the doorway. He's here for Faye and the rest of Zaxxon. Erika tries to talk him down, but naturally, a threat to Yugo is Faye's trigger, and the two, well, here. Arcademon evolves and Huddy HQ goes boom. Chapter 14, Dark Legend. Visiting Faye at hospital, she blames herself for attacking him instead of allowing him and Erika to talk. Enter Yuko. She apologizes to us for everything and comes clean about the fact that she's Yugo, and not to worry, she's still the same Yuko we ate rice omelets with. So now that she's stepped up in the company, she's making sure that Erika's treatments continue. And as for Kishibe, well, leave that to her. Since our base has been destroyed, we need a new one, so let's buy a PC and move it into Erika's hospital room. Along the way, we see flashes of what appears to be an astral projection of Erika. Back at her room, we're ready to set up shop and keep Huddy alive by being a one-man crew. Well, one man and one Digimon, as Wormmon is our vanguard. What do you mean you fell into the bin? So adorable. You know what? I need a plushie of you. Hang on. Oh, never mind. So while Wormmon and I continue to accept requests, Erika is going to decipher Pseudo's notes because we have to wake up Chisose, for everyone's sakes. He's the cornerstone of Huddy. She also mentions that she had a strange dream that she was with us when we went to buy the PC. How peculiar. I admittedly love the parallel between this and the Cyber Sleuth since they're going through the same thing right now, at the same time. The Cyber Sleuth had to man up and run the detective agency all on his own without his mentor. And here's us, once the outsider, now being the only one capable of keeping Huddy going, with nothing but super glue and duct tape, and the burden feels a lot heavier here considering everyone's circumstances. Erika's hanging on by a thread, Chitose's in a coma, Ryuji's on a warpath, someone stole my damn identity and we have no home. You know what? Fuck worrying about the Digimon and getting them home, we've got problems. Oh, speaking of the detective agency, we steal one of their customers right outside their door. Apparently a scary Digimon has been hanging around at the top of the Metropolitan office, and he wants someone to do something about it. Reaching the top, we find... oh shit, it's Craniamon! He refuses to budge as he has something important to do here, but it's at this exact moment that Alphamon arrives. So long story short, we're gonna help Alphamon and Craniamon save your Force Phaedramon, who, if you guys remember, never made it through to this world. It's stuck somewhere in the distortion. Between the two of them, they're able to pinpoint his location and open a portal, so we tag along. We've temporarily separated from our body, so if we stay too long, we'll become lost forever. We make it a certain distance before Alphamon says we shouldn't go any further because if we do, we won't be able to make it back. But Craniamon isn't having any of it and it becomes a boss fight with him. We succeed in bringing him back, but he can't stand staying here any longer, so he goes back into the distortion, leaving us behind in our world. It explains why he was where he was in Cyber Sleuth and not in the human world. We get a fun side quest where we have to help Jimmy-ken get his mojo back. As annoying as he was, it's kind of touching, plus seeing his actual self is both surreal and hilarious. Aratar is now a wanted man. There's a friend that he was supposed to meet up with that was gonna give him a place to lay low, but he has lost contact with them around Oino. We enter a digital shift there to find him surrounded by Eaters. Turns out he willingly infiltrated a digital shift because he wanted to get a better understanding of the Eaters for Aratar's sake. This is when Aratar decides that it's best to leave all of his friends out of it. He'll handle everything on his own and won't rely on anyone. Once again, I love that we're filling in these gaps and getting more context to what some of these guys were doing while they were out of the spotlight during Cyber Sleuth. Faye contacts us saying that Ryuji's fighting with hackers, most likely Kei. Neither of the girls are in a position to move, so it's on us. We reach the demon's den as the only thing left is Ryuji's aftermath. The new demon's my ass. Kei had escaped through a back door he created leading to this server. We witness numerous flashbacks involving Kei as we maneuver through. We slowly piece together that Kei was you all along. Not you as in I or you, the player, as in you.
You? Me? Everybody's ass around here. Him? I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm sick of this.
You, your best friend, you. So before reaching him, let's put those pieces together. You, tired of being constantly picked on and made fun of for his feminine and weak qualities, worked together with Akira Hosaka to steal various accounts, then personally requested Akira steal our account. Upon doing so, he then turned on Akira and stole his account, as well as access to every account Akira had stolen up to that point, taking up the mantle of Kei in order to send us on a wild goose chase to get our account back. Why did he do this? Well, we're the only person that's never made fun of him or treated him poorly. We've always been there for him, which not only led to strong admiration, but also developed into you having romantic feelings for the player. But he couldn't come to terms with those feelings as he knew he'd be rejected and lose his only friend. That's when he found the mask and it started to speak to him, giving him this idea. The plan was to steal our account and ostracize us so that we'd have no choice but to depend on him. So as K, he would send us dead-end leads, then come along with us as you, in this never-ending loop of codependency. But then a wrench was thrown into his scheme when Ryuji came along and invited us into Huddy. We then came to depend on them and cut you out because we wanted to keep him out of harm's way. But this fed back into Yu's insecurities about us thinking that he's weak and useless, so the voice convinced him that if he couldn't have us, he should become us. As he's explaining all this, he becomes fully possessed by the Digimon inhabiting the mask, and we take it down. Yu comes back to his senses, apologizing, saying he's unsure as to where he ended and K began, as he felt so powerful as K in contrast to his usual weak self. Also kind of throwing a pity party, not gonna lie, doing the whole, oh just tell me you hate me, tell me I'm the worst. Then when the protagonist forgives him, he then continues, why'd you have to be so perfect? It's what I hate and admire most about you, and la 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 la. He then passes out as Erika questions the nature of how much did the Digimon influence his behavior, if it even did so in the first place. Obviously thinking about Ryuji as well and the way he's behaving lately, but she also questions the nature of why do we have to divide our egos as such in the first place. Yu and K were one in the same. All aspects of our nature are what make us who we are. We shouldn't have to compartmentalize. Now, with this coming from the girl whose brain is literally compartmentalized, it does hit very hard, with the chapter concluding with the protagonist giving us this little monologue. Okay, so earlier I said I'm not a very reactionary person as I like to get all the pieces first before forming an opinion and blah de blah de blah. Well, I'm here now, getting all the answers, and so while this part of the chapter was playing out and I was processing everything, I found myself getting increasingly annoyed, and even after thinking it over some, I find myself having a gaming commentary or video essayist moment of crisis. I think that when you decide you're going to get into media analysis, you're always going to be figuring out where to draw the line between your own opinions and feelings versus the authorial intent. What is this story trying to say and is it executing it well? And I often try to make a conscious effort to present both sides in my commentaries. I was honestly ready to trash you due to my own personal reasons, but after thinking over for a while, my stance is thus. I can relate to the protagonist here because I've been in a few similar situations where you either don't return someone's feelings or have friendships go toxic simply because you live a busier life than they do, or have a wider social circle, resulting in them going to really toxic lengths to try to gain control or hold me emotionally hostage or sabotage my other relationships. So I got a little pissed off with how easily the protagonist forgave you, but I also get what the story is trying to do. Both as a cautionary tale when exploring how emotionally immature teenagers are prone to this sort of behavior, and how this may worsen years down the line when we eventually create a cyberspace environment, and also how it ties to the protagonist's arc. His opening monologue and the way other people treat him, he's convinced that he's just a nobody or a side character in the world, but it turns out he meant the whole world to someone else. And even though I may not like how you went about things, maybe that's just what it took to make the protagonist realize there's no such thing as being a background character so long as you've got people that care about you. And maybe people who feel invisible or can relate to how the protagonist views himself can gain something from this revelation, as this monologue that he gives at the end of the chapter shows how now he's reinvigorated to go and save all the people that gave him a home and made him feel like he mattered. Huddy. Chapter 15, Rescue and Return. Wormmon really tries to cheer us up, man. It weirdly works on me anyway, but then it vows to be the best vanguard it can be. I know I've been playfully gushing over Wormmon, but I don't think I've given it enough genuine props for how much it's been pulling its weight as our right hand and genuine support system, especially with what's about to happen in this chapter. It really does become you and Wormmon against the world. So Erika managed to hit a breakthrough. Ahem. Eden syndrome is caused when an eater consumes data and sends it to the mother eater. so that's most likely where Chisosei's data is. Therefore, there should be a junction that we can trace back to the Mother Eater, but this is just Erika's working theory. This is a conclusion she reached on her own, not something that Soido himself has discovered. Looks like he was right with what he said about a fresh pair of eyes. This triggered me to think about an interesting bit of minutiae that the game brings up from time to time. This idea of new age technology, like how characters like Erika and Arata often talk about the old way of doing things, and when you look at how elite their skill sets are, you can see that their stance comes from a place of wanting to challenge your capabilities and taking a creative approach to technology and problem solving. As Soido can appreciate that, hence he somewhat takes them under his wing, or at the very least trust them enough to experiment with. As the common hacker relies on Digimon instead of their own ingenuity, you could argue it stifles progress and circumvented critical thinking. It's sort of like how nowadays you can get AI to code for you, instead of learning the craft for yourself. And it kind of ties into something I was thinking about a few months ago. The shift from the analog to the digital era. Things that were once common occurrences are slowly fading out. Writing with a pen and paper, for instance. Does anyone remember when teachers would say you won't have a calculator on you in the real world, so you had to mentally work things out? Life is reaching a point where everything can just be done passively without thought. Spelling was my weakest trait in school, so I'm very grateful for spelling checks, but you know what I mean. Sorry for the tangent, I just thought it would be something cool to think about.
千歳、待っててね。ハッカーデジモン？ヴァンガードって何？あの子、なんであんなにはしゃいでるの？なんでもいいけど、あんまり張り切らせると後で大変だよ。あの子、こっちの世界に来てからますますドジが加速して。
Anyway, let's go to Junk Plaza. Once there, Erika opens a back door to the Ether network using the coordinates Soido put in his notes. Wormmon will guard the entrance while we look around inside. She hacks in Ether so that it will mask our presence, causing the other Ethers to avoid us. She also brought Chisosei's partner Digimon to draw his data out. Oh hey, we get a cool cameo from the real Yugo. He says it's impossible to find a specific set of data in the digital sea, but Chisosei's Digimon is able to find him. Erika apologizes to Yugo for not being able to save him. I do find that very touching considering they don't actually know each other. Erika is a lot more compassionate than she likes to admit. We get surrounded by Eaters because interacting with Chisosei's data disrupts the cloak, so we get chased by them. Erika gets caught but tells Wormmon to shut down her memory server, causing her avatar to vanish. Back in the real world, Erika's perfectly fine, except she's lost her memory. Soido arrives as he's the one that developed the theory behind her treatment. Though he's not actively involved, the doctor in charge called him about the incident. There's a backup storage that all the data gets downloaded to whenever shutdown is initiated. We just need to activate it. The fastest yet most dangerous way is through Eden. He advises against it since soon he'll change the world where nobody has to suffer. Oh shut up, I'm gonna go save my tsundere. Oh, but first a quick side quest with Beelzemon. Yeah. Wormmon has doubts about this, wondering if she'd be happier without her memories, because even now, Wormmon and Erika's memories are starting to become blurred to the point that it's struggling to work out which memories are Erika's and which belong to it. For those that may have forgotten, because admittedly I haven't brought it up much, remember that the reason Wormmon is able to do the things it's able to do is because Erika linked their memories together, so it's more or less a secondary Erika. Oops, spoilers. But in my opinion, it's not up to us, she has the right to her own memories. I love this section so much that I'm just gonna let parts of it play.
Erika? エデンや現実世界でもあれを見たって？どういうこと？勝手に入ってこないで！ 様あったかいお布団ご飯の匂いお母さんのお兄ちゃん今日の昨日の私はここだ。ここからバックアップ記憶にアクセスできるはず。ちょっと待ってね、やってみるから。できた。これでサーバとエリカのリンクが復旧したはずだよ。えへん、私どんどんヴァンガードに近づいてるでしょ。あれ、まだ奥にエリアがあるね。
While here, we see the ghost of Erika from before. It's an AI that's used as a vassal to regulate her memories. We're viewing a memory of when Erika and Wormmon were talking about the digital world, but the memory is cut off. She has restricted memories that even Wormmon isn't allowed to see. The protagonist wants to look anyway, but Wormmon puts his foot down and I love it.
ダメだってば。エリカの思春期は私が守るからね。もし無理やり見ようとするならそっか、分かってくれてよかったよ。それじゃあエリカのところに戻ろう。エリカ、目が覚めてるといいな。
Although it does question why she doesn't want anyone to know about their conversation about the digital world, we return and she has her memory back, though we immediately leave to find Chitose. But on the way out, the nurse asks if we know where Ryuji is because Erika's condition isn't looking so good, according to her. Ending things there. A very trippy and surreal chapter, exploring the Ita network and then Erika's server. It had me thinking a lot about various segments from Citizen Sleeper with its abstract concepts. And would you believe that we're not done with Erika's server? We'll be returning here in chapter 17, and it'll be even more of an experience. Probably my favourite segment in the whole duology honestly, but I'm blowing my load away early. Chapter 16, Vanquished Boy. Chisose's back, baby! He and Faye make amends to say there was wrong done on both sides and they're basically even, though neither of them are in any state to go anywhere. For now, we'll pursue Ryuji. When we leave, Chichose says this isn't the time for him to rest, once he sees how hard we've been working to keep everyone afloat. Even Faye tells him he needs to step up and get his shit together. A bit of a pot calling the kettle black here. Back in Erika's room, we addressed that we've seen her server AI in the real world. She says it may be her memories leaking into Eden since she's starting to get memories that aren't hers. Not full-on experiences, but more like flashes and glimpses. Memories that belong to other avatars. She's fearful that she's losing touch with the reality since it's all starting to blur together. I track Ryuji and take him in a boss fight. He loves using texture field, Jesus. We try to tell him that Chichose is alive, but he doesn't believe us and flees. Wormmon is the voice of reason when cheering us up, saying the Digimon must be influencing him, but then Naruto appears saying that Digimon and human emotions resonate. His negative emotions are fueling the Digimon, and then that feeds back into him in a symbiotic relationship. We team up with Arata to go knock some sense into Ryuji. We even get to play as Arata in a domination battle where he just solos these hackers. Arata and Yuji really go at each other here.
俺にも分けてくれよ、ユージ。真田。お前、真田と組んだのか。後輩相手に生きがってんじゃねえよ。お前が本当に倒したいのは他の誰でもねえ。そうだ。お前が逃げなければ。俺と千歳が居場所を失うことも。全てはお前が俺たちを裏切ってから。何度も言わせんじゃねえよ。俺がどうすりゃよかったってんだ。みんなお前を望んでいた。お前が柔道のトップであり続ければ俺たちはバラバラにならずに済んだんだ。それをお前が。それがお門違いだっつんだよ。俺だけが柔道、俺だけの責任かよ。俺一人いなくなったくらいで消えるチームなら最初からないようなもんだろうが。それほどに惜しい居場所だったんならな。てめえ自分にできないものを俺に押し付けてんじゃねえ。 できたら俺じゃダメだ。柔道はみんなお前に真田、お前に無力な人間の苦しみがわかるか。
吠えてんじゃねえよ負け犬が。
真田。
アルカディモンが進化した。
下がってな。これはあいつと俺の問題だ。物好きなやつだな。どっかの誰かを思い出すぜ。
お前のせいで。
Arcadiamon digivolves yet again, but we take it down, and damn, Artaz speaks from the heart.
みんなお前に心酔して集まっていたんだ。俺じゃダメだ。お前じゃないといけなかったのに。なぜ理由も言わず去っていったんだ。答えろ真田。
言わなかったんじゃない。言えなかったんだ。どうしてチームを続けられなかったのか。あの頃は説明できなかった。でも今なら言えるぜ。全部思い出したからな。俺はな、ガキの頃にもダチを守れなかったことがあったんだ。仲間を失ったのはアンダーゼロが初めてじゃなかったってわけさ。ずっと前から俺には人の上に立つ資格なんてなかった。それ重度の仲間はそのせいで犠牲になっちまった。アンダーゼロで仲間を失った時、そのことを思い出したんだ。記憶じゃなく感覚でさ。だから重度から逃げて、また同じ過ちを繰り返す前に俺をもう一度リーダーにと押す。お前から逃げたんだ。柔道を離れたのはそれが理由だ。答えになったかよ。
真田。
それに自分にはできないって言うけどな。お前リーダー向いてると思うぜ。フーディエはいい。俺はこれから昔見捨てちまったダチを助けに行く。そうしなきゃ何も始まらねえ。
そんなことができると思うのか。柔道はもうなくなったんだ。
ああ、俺は俺の居場所を取り戻しに行く。あばよ、俺の用は済んだ。あとはオタクの好きにしな。
In comes Chitose to add his 2 cents.
何人様に迷惑かけまくってんだ。エデンでは飽き足らず東京中で暴れ回るとか何考えてんだこのタコ。いくらハッカーが無法者だからって限度ってもんがあるでしょうがボケ。しかもお得意様のザクソンの幹部ボコボコにしやがって。俺たちこれからどうやって風に切り盛りしていくつもりだっつうの。 ハッカーっつったって一応客商売なんですけど、分かってますかそこんとこ。そんなんだからお前ネットカフェの経営だって俺が何度もフォローする羽目になるんでしょうが。そうだよ、しかも店だよ店。全開ってお前シャレになんねえだろうが。修繕費いくらすと思ってんだ。デジモンによる災害って何災？保険屋さんにどうやって納得してもらえばいいんだっていうの。よりによって俺の大好きなバイトちゃんの働き口まで奪いやがって。東京のど真ん中でデジモン出してんじゃねえよ。バーま、大体こんなもんだな。リュウジ、俺はもう大丈夫だ。だからお前もちゃんとしろ。ごたくはいいから帰ってこい。兄弟泣かせてんじゃねえよ兄貴。
千歳。へへ、俺が言いたいことは全部言われちまったな。
俺は
アルカディモンが。
リュウジ、千歳。嘘だろ。
So, we finally get that bit of closure in regards to why Arata left Jude's. I found myself not really caring for that aspect of it though. I liked it more for what it meant for Ryuji. Throughout the story, Arata's been trying to reach out to Ryuji, but without a firm acknowledgement as to where he went wrong. He just talks in this roundabout, condescending, preachy way, but here, after he's had his memories unlocked, he finally makes things right and speaks directly. And Chisose's comedic freakout is just the perfect icing on the cake. If there's one thing that I'll give to this duology, it does manage to merge its drama and comedy well. Chapter 17. Even in Arcadia, there I am. In order to track down Arcadiamon, Erika used what she gained from being inside the Eater network to create her own man-made Eaters. They still need some tweaking as they aren't complete yet, but when she finishes working on them, she'll be able to use them to find Ryuji. Everyone insists that she get some rest and recover, but she refuses, saying that she has to find her brother, and so Wormmon straight up knocks her the fuck out, saying that it will continue to work on the Eater's bits while she rests. So this is the penultimate chapter, so we get lots of side quests to finish the game with. They're mostly just tying up some loose ends. There's a quest from Rina which amounts to a boss fight against her. I was wondering if Rina would play a bigger role in this game since she just went off the grid in Cyber Sleuth. But no, she just keeps her role as a glorified cameo from the DS games. We have a cute moment of manly bonding with Tisose, where we talk with Nokia, who says she let Tisose down as the leader of the rebels, so we need to prove our resolve to her before she goes off and saves the world. We really are just side characters, aren't we? Okay, back to the plot. Erika takes extra strong medication to numb her symptoms, but there's no knowing when they'll come back. Wormmon puts its foot down and it's so damn cute.
マームも言ったらエリカはそこに行くんでしょ。そのためにビットを作ったんだよ。ダメ、エリカは病院にいて、千歳もまだ動けないし、私と彼が2人でアルカディモンを倒すから。あんたじゃ戦えないし、ビットを扱いきれない。できるもん、私だってハッカーだもん。ワームもエリカのバカ！エリカに何かあったら私泣いちゃうからね。私エリカの記憶を見て知ってるんだからね。家族を亡くすのってだから私もきっと。ワームもそれなら私がお兄ちゃんを助けに行きたい気持ちもわかるでしょ。ワームも私がお兄ちゃんにしてあげられることはもうこれしかないの。知ってるよ、お医者さんから聞いたから。だから 強めの処方をしてもらえたんだもんね、ワームも。いいよ、それなら別の手を探すから。一緒に来てくれる？お台場連絡橋だよ。エリカのバカバカバカバカ。エリカなんて嫌いだ。嫌い嫌い大嫌い。でも好きだけど嫌いだし、嫌いだけど好きだよ。理不尽だけど意味がわからないけど、きっとこれが人間の気持ちなんだね。私も一緒に行くよ。こんな頑固者一人にできないもん。頑固者はあんたでしょ。違うよ、エリカの方がずば抜けて頑固だよ。ねえ君今なら何でもできる気がする。行こう。今度こそお兄ちゃんをフーディエを取り戻すの。
Arcadimon's at Odaiba. We sneak past the police to access the bridge, and Date's also here. We can't even damage it until Erika's able to destabilize it and use the ether bits to extract him. Thankfully, Ryuji's Digimon kept him safe inside, and Date gets an ambulance for him. Just when I start to think that things were wrapping up nicely, Erika passes out and gets assimilated by her man-made ethers. I swear this game is just constantly things going from bad to worse. The script was literally like, but then this happens. It's the Trey Parker method. Can Wormon and I just catch a break? Calm down, Wormon. Right. Chasing after her, we get messages from the previous main character saying they'll be going away for a while. Thanks for the invitation. It's like when your friends plan a holiday without you. Erika's memory server is crawling with ether, so we need to dive deep. This is so beautiful. I'm just gonna let the whole thing play.
痛くない重くない体ダメ体生まれ変わると憂い新しい私新しい世界希望光夢感じる私幸せ居場所ずっと見つけた分かってるここに知ってる叶わない理解して通じない恐怖が届かない諦め助けて壊れていく助けて勇気してくださらし最後残された願いここはまだ無事かな。
Turns out she can hear the Eater's voice. They want to go to the digital world. She blames herself as we see the memory that she'd hidden from us before. She wants to go to the digital world, but doesn't think that she's allowed to dream or want because of everything she puts her brother through. So these suppressed desires have affected the Eaters. The Eater Legion can't fit through the gate, so it starts eroding the space around it. We get forced out by Erika before we become affected by it, and we then see that Eden has become eroded by Eaters. Chapter 18. Our Memories. And this will be the final chapter, guys, so strap in. Chitose and Ryuji make amends and comment on how useless they've been as big brothers by making me work myself to death to save them from literal death. Presently, nobody can log into Eden, as the gang gathers together to form a plan as to how we can save our tsundere sister. Ryuji even makes us leader, for now, as we've earned it. Date's also been visiting Ryuji a lot. I see you, girl, you go get your man. Faye says we should be able to log in via the lab under the Roppongi building, since Kishibe had it hooked up with different login credentials for Yuko to be able to log in as Yugo. And I hate to say it, but I do love this group's dynamic more than the previous protagonists, I won't lie. I was already loving whenever Date and Faye were on screen together, but Chisose's cheekiness and Ryuji's stoic demeanor is just the icing on the cake. So the plan is for Matayoshi and his crew to storm the Metropolitan building to give us an opening. And he's just so badass here. The other hackers from the various groups we've met throughout the adventure get involved as well, and Yu's also here. He's actually leading them. Good for you. Nice to see your arc come full circle, I guess. Oh, even Futoruchida showed up. We're only able to create enough space for 3 people to access Eden. Naturally, that's me, Chitose, and Ryuji. But before jumping in, Ryuji says he wants to do something first, and that we should meet him in Ikebukuro. What, now? You want to do this now? It's a staple of JRPGs that always makes me laugh. Like, we have this one opportunity while Matayoshi is causing a distraction, but I just have to do this one thing, just really quick, just this one thing. It'll take 2 seconds, I promise. Okay, it does feel like I haven't been here in ages though. It is weirdly nostalgic. Ryuji wants us to punish him for everything he's done, but Faye makes him realize it's down to him to prove his determination. Okay, terrific, let's go. The 3 of us enter and explore Eden in its corrupted state while getting into domination battles with Eaters. The AI of Erika guides us to her core, and we try to take down the Legion. So, in order to stop Eden from becoming corrupted, we need to destroy the core as it's fused with Legion, meaning Erika's become fully assimilated with it. If we destroy it, she disappears. But since Wormmon is in theory a second Erika, it's able to get inside and merge with Erika to become Hadimon. This is neither Erika nor Wormmon, but also both Erika and Wormmon. Together with Hadimon, we take down the core, saving Eden. However, this is the exact same time that the Cyber Sleuth characters defeat the Mother Eater, so the world is returning to normal. Hadimon makes the decision to go to the digital world because Erika would be doomed to die if she came back. So alongside our Digimon, she'll form a new Hadi in the digital world. And we say goodbye. I wound up when the credits rolled, I won't lie. I even wound up again while typing this out, and right now, I guess, as I'm recording. After the credits roll, it's a new world order where Digimon nor Erika ever existed. And you kind of filled her spot. As we head out though, something compels us to enter the storage room. We find it full of nothing but boxes, and shed a tear, confused as to why. As a butterfly swoops past, and we're treated to this adorable ending screen. I often find myself struggling to conclude my videos because I tend to say everything I want to say on duration to the point that I have nothing left to say by story's end. Hacker's Memory gave me a lot more than I was expecting. Cyber Sleuth already did a lot with its characters, and given the tone of the early sections, the self-aware nature of being a side character, the flanderization of its world and returning characters, I was ready to roll my eyes at Hacker's Memory and not really take its story seriously. But when those credits rolled and the title popped up, Hacker's Memory, and that opening monologue about memories, and our player character tells you from the jump that this isn't his story. This goes beyond him living in the shadow of the Cyber Sleuth. This is Erika's story. Shutting herself off from the world, not simply because she just wants to be left alone or her world being computers, but because she doesn't want to be a burden and doesn't feel like she deserves happiness or joy. Added to the fact that her AI counterpart manifests in the world from time to time, she's not living, she's just existing, literally floating through life like a ghost. She's a dead girl walking, only showing up when needed so that she can be of some use to her surrogate family. But after that, she's recluse again, so that she doesn't become a bother. Now here comes the player character, somebody she sees as just as pathetic as she sees herself, and after some time, finds a kindred spirit in. As the two go through trials and tribulations together, she learns what it means to live and actually yearn for more. A sense of freedom that she feels she doesn't deserve. But come to the end, when the opportunity arises for her to cheat death and break her shackles, old Erika would have rejected this and come back to the real world. But this Erika, the one we've spent the entire game with, she soars, born again, lifting that burden from the people that she loves. It's very bittersweet. And I live for bittersweet. I'm emotionally susceptible to stories that end with a character being erased and forgotten, provided that I actually like the character in the first place. And Erika, you were the ultimate tsundere. Thank you for indulging me, guys. As of this point, I'm only a couple of hours into Time Stranger, but I don't think I'll make any content on it until all the DLC is released, since I'm kind of Digimoned out. As much as I loved this duology, I could stand to look and talk about something different for a while, so I'll have some other pieces of content coming in the meantime. As always, take care, stay safe, eat healthy, train hard.